It usually happens after the sun has disappeared. You step outside for a simple reason: to turn off the garden hose, to check the porch, to bring in something you forgot before nightfall. And then you notice it, a small pale lizard pressed against the wall, completely still, silent, almost the same color as the paint behind it. Its thin body catches the porch light. Its wide eyes seem to be watching everything at once. Its feet are spread flat against the wall in a way that feels impossible. And when you move closer, it does not leap away. It does not panic. It simply stays there, waiting. Most people see a lizard on the wall and think the same thing. Get it away from the house. They wave a broom. They tap the wall. They chase it into the dark. But before you do that, there is something you should know. That little lizard is not just sitting there. It is not lost. It is not trying to bother you. It may be one of the most useful animals that visits your home after dark. And once you understand what it is doing on that wall at night, you may never want to chase one away again. The first thing most people notice is how it holds on. A wall is not supposed to be a path. A ceiling is not supposed to be a floor. Glass is not supposed to be something an animal can walk across. But this lizard does it without effort. It moves up painted walls. It crosses windows. It turns sideways. It can stop upside down and remain there as if gravity has forgotten it. For many years, people believe that lizards like this must be using suction. That idea sounds reasonable. After all, if something sticks to a smooth surface, suction is the first thing most of us imagine. But the truth is much stranger. The feet of a house gecko are covered with tiny structures so small that you cannot see them with your eyes. Each toe holds thousands upon thousands of hair-like fibers. Those fibers branch into even smaller tips. When those tips touch a surface, they come so close to it that tiny natural forces begin to act between the foot and the wall. The gecko is not glued to the wall. It is not stuck there by moisture. It is not using claws like a cat on a tree. It is using physics. Every step is a quiet little miracle. The lizard presses its toes down at one angle to hold on. Then it changes the angle to let go. That is why it can run so quickly across places where other animals would fall. It grips and releases again and again, faster than you can follow with your eyes. Engineers have studied this ability for years because humans still struggle to create something as simple and as perfect as a gecko foot. A dry grip that can hold firmly. A grip that can release instantly. A grip that leaves no sticky mess behind. The small lizard on your wall carries a design that science is still trying to copy. But that is not the reason it came to your house. It came because of the light. Look at where you usually see it. Near the porch lamp. Beside the garage light. Close to a window glowing from inside. On the wall near the door. That is not random. At night, lights pull insects toward them. Moths circle them. Tiny flies gather around them. Mosquitoes drift near them. Gnats collect in the warm glow. Small roaches may move along the edges below them. To you, that light is just a lamp. To the gecko, it is a hunting ground. The lizard has learned something very important. Where humans place light, insects gather. And where insects gather, a patient hunter does not need to search very far. That is why it chooses the wall. That is why it waits close to the glow. That is why it often returns to the same place again and again. It is not visiting your porch. It is working there. While the house becomes quiet, while you close the door, while the neighborhood settles into darkness, the gecko begins its night shift. It waits without wasting energy. A small fly moves too close. A mosquito lands for a second. A moth passes within reach. Then the gecko moves. Fast, clean, almost too quick to notice. One insect is gone. Then another. Then another. A single small gecko may not look powerful, but night after night, it removes insects from the place where they would otherwise enter your home. Mosquitoes that might have found your arm. Flies that might have reached your kitchen. Small roaches that might have slipped through a crack. Moths that might have gathered around your door. The gecko does not ask you for anything. It does not need batteries. It does not need poison. It does not need a trap. It simply waits where the insects already come. This is why many people in warm places quietly welcome geckos near their homes. They may not know the science. They may not know the name of the species, but they know the pattern. A house with geckos often has fewer insects around the lights, fewer tiny pests near the doorway, fewer little movements in the corners at night. Long before people had sprays and electric traps, they noticed that these small lizards were useful neighbors. But the story becomes even more interesting when you listen, because this lizard is not always silent. On warm nights, especially when more than one gecko lives near the same wall, you may hear a soft clicking sound, a short chirp, a tiny call from somewhere near the roofline, window frame, or porch light. Many people hear it for years without knowing what it is. They think it is an insect, or a sound from the wall, or something moving in the leaves. But often, it is the gecko. Unlike many lizards, house geckos can make sounds. They use those sounds to communicate, sometimes to warn another gecko, sometimes during breeding season, sometimes when two of them meet near the same hunting spot. That little chirping sound is part of the nighttime language of your home. It is easy to miss, but once you recognize it, you may begin to hear it everywhere, near the porch, near the garden wall, outside the bathroom window, close to a warm light after a hot day. For some people, that sound is annoying. For others, it becomes comforting, a reminder that the house is not empty at night, that small lives are moving quietly around it, that the walls, lights, plants, and shadows are part of a living system. And that brings us to another reason you should think twice before chasing it away. The gecko is not only catching flying insects, it also hunts small crawling insects. This matters more than most people realize. A large cockroach is easy to notice. It runs across the floor and everyone reacts. But a young cockroach is much smaller. It hides better. It moves along cracks, corners, and damp spaces. By the time most homeowners see the problem clearly, the problem may already be growing. A gecko near a doorway, a bathroom window, or a kitchen wall may catch some of those small insects before they become adults. It is not a complete solution to a serious infestation, but it is a natural early warning system and a natural first line of control. The gecko spends its active hours in the exact places where small insects travel, along walls, near lights, around door frames, close to cracks, behind outdoor furniture, near garden edges. It is hunting at the border between the outside world and your home. That border is where many pest problems begin. And yet, because the gecko is small, people often mistake it for the problem, instead of noticing that it is helping with the problem. Of course, there is one concern that almost every homeowner understands: the droppings, small dark specks with a white tip. You may find them near windows, on a porch floor, under a wall light, around the places where the gecko waits at night. Nobody wants to clean that. It is fair to be bothered by it. A clean home matters. A clean porch matters. But here is the important comparison. A few tiny gecko droppings near one hunting spot are unpleasant. A growing insect problem inside the home is worse. Cockroaches leave waste across surfaces. Flies spread bacteria from one place to another. Mosquitoes bite. Moths can damage stored fabric and food. The gecko creates a small mess in a small area. The insects it eats can create a much larger problem. That does not mean you need to invite geckos into your bedroom. You do not. The best place for them is outside, on exterior walls, near porch lights, near garden lights, close to the places where insects gather before they enter. If a gecko keeps hunting in a spot that bothers you, you can change the light. Move the light away from the wall. Use a warmer colored bulb that attracts fewer insects. Clean the area regularly. Seal gaps around doors and windows. The goal is not to make the gecko disappear. The goal is to guide it to the place where it helps without causing trouble. Then there is the tail. If you have ever startled a gecko, you may have seen something that looks impossible. The lizard darts away, and the tail is suddenly left behind. The tail moves on the ground by itself. It twists. It wriggles. It distracts the eye. For a moment, you are not watching the gecko anymore. You are watching the tail. That is exactly the point. This is one of the lizard's most dramatic survival tools. When a predator grabs the tail, the gecko can release it. The tail breaks at a natural weak point. Blood loss is limited. The body escapes. The moving tail holds the attention of the attacker just long enough for the lizard to reach safety. Later, the gecko can grow a new tail. The new one may not look exactly like the old one. It may be smoother. It may have a different shape or pattern. But it works. Think about what that means. This tiny animal carries a climbing system that engineers admire, a hunting strategy built around human lights, a voice that many people never identify, and a survival plan so extreme that it can leave part of its own body behind and continue living. All of that is happening on the wall outside your home while most people are asleep. But there is another question. Is it dangerous? For most people, the answer is no. House geckos are shy. They avoid people. They do not want to attack you. They do not want to live in your bed. They are not interested in your food the way ants or cockroaches are. If one gets inside, it is usually because it followed insects or found a gap near a door or window. The best response is simple. Do not hurt it. Do not panic. Open a door if you can. Guide it gently toward an exit, or leave it alone if it is in a safe place and likely to find its way back out. A gecko inside the house may surprise you. A gecko outside the house is usually exactly where it should be, near the light, near the insects, near the edge of your living space, doing quiet work. And once you begin to see it that way, the whole scene changes. The same wall that looked plain before becomes a small nighttime hunting ground. The porch light becomes a gathering point in a larger natural pattern. The still lizard becomes a patient worker. The tiny chirp becomes a sign that something alive is sharing the warm evening with you. This is one of the beautiful things about paying attention to nature. The world does not always need to become bigger to become more interesting. Sometimes it becomes more interesting when you finally notice what has been beside you all along. A lizard on a wall, a moth near a bulb, a mosquito that never reaches the door, a small hunter waiting in the light. Most of the time, we judge small animals too quickly. We see movement and call it a pest. We see droppings and call it a nuisance. We see something unfamiliar and decide it does not belong. But nature is rarely that simple. Many of the creatures around our homes are not enemies. They are part of a balance. Some are harmful, some are helpful, some are both, depending on where they are and how we respond to them. The gecko is one of those animals that asks us to look a little longer before deciding, no, it does not look impressive. It does not sing beautifully. It does not have bright colors like a butterfly or the size of a bird. It is small, pale, quiet, easy to overlook, but night after night, it stands between your home and the insects drawn toward it. That is not a small thing. So the next time you step outside after dark and see one on the wall, stop for a moment. Notice where it is standing. Notice the light above it. Notice the insects moving around it. Notice how still it becomes before it strikes. It has chosen that place for a reason. Your wall is not just a wall to it. It is a lookout point, a hunting post, a place where warmth, light, and food meet. You do not have to touch it. You do not have to feed it. You do not even have to like it, but you may want to leave it alone. Because while you are sleeping, it may be doing more for your home than you realize. And that is the quiet secret of the little lizard on the wall. It is not there to frighten you. It is not there to invade your space. It is not there by accident. It is there because your home has become part of its nighttime world. And in return, it gives something back. A little less buzzing around the light. A few fewer insects near the door, a small natural defense that works without noise, without chemicals, and without attention. Have you ever seen a gecko waiting outside your window at night? Have you ever heard that soft clicking sound and wondered where it came from? Did you grow up chasing these little lizards away? Or did your family leave them alone? Tell me your story in the comments. I would love to know what people in different places believe about them. And if tonight is the night you look at that tiny lizard differently, then maybe the next time one appears on your wall, you will not reach for a broom. You will simply leave the light on for a while and let the little night hunter do its work. I will see you in the next one.